Now we are going to solve maths questions from IMAT past paper 2024. So our very first question is 48th question, which states the expression 512 raised to the power 1 by 3 raised to the power 1 by 2 is equivalent to. Basically they have given us an expression, and you are already familiar with an expression now, right? In the very first video of maths, I cleared this term expression. I basically told you the difference between expression and equation. Equation is basically something with an equal to sign, but if you don't have an equal to sign, that is basically an expression. So basically an expression is given to us, and they have asked us to simplify that. They are asking us what is that equivalent to. Now basically, before solving this expression, you must be familiar with the concept. For instance, if you have 2 raised to the power 1 by 3, if you have 2 raised to the power 1 by 3, it can also be written as 2 under cube root 3. Okay, cube root. Okay, cube root means basically power 1 by 3, and square root basically mean power 1 by 2, which can be written like this. Okay, and for instance, if I have power 1 by 4, so it can be written as fourth root of 2. Okay, so these are basically very simple terms. So now I have 512. Basically, for the first time I'm going to write the question as it is, and then I'll be solving that. So basically we are supposed to solve this expression. Okay, so this is not rocket science at all. We'll be solving it very finely. See, 1 by 3 power means cube root of 512, right? Cube root of 512. Cube root means what number will be multiplied thrice in order to get 513, right? This is as simple it is, and whole power 1 by 2. Okay, now see, if I suppose that number is 5 basically, so 5 into 5 into 5, 5 5s are 25, 25 5s are, it's basically 125. So 5 cannot be our, of course, that number. So let me remove that first. Let's suppose that number might be 6. Okay, that number might be 6. So 6 into 6 is 36, and 36 into 6 is what? 6 6 are 36, 6 3s are 18, and 21. So it's basically 216. We haven't gotten 512 yet, so means 6 cannot be that number. Okay, whose cube is basically 512. So we have to go with now 7. 7, basically 7 into 7 is 49, and 49 into 7 is what? Let's try that. 7 9 is 63 basically, and 7 4s are 7 3s are 21, 28, 28 plus 6, 34. So 343. This cannot be our answer as well. Now let's try 8. Okay, let's take the cube of 8 and let's see what happens then. 8 into 8 is 64, and then we have to try 64 into 8. Okay, 4 into 8, 32 basically. So 8 into 6 or 6 into 8 is 48. 48 plus 3 is 51. So 512 we have basically gotten this, which means I can write like that: 8 power 3. See, 8 power 3 under cube root, right? And then whole power 1 by 2. Basically this cube is cancelled with this cube root, and now we are only left with 8 raised to the power 1 by 2. Now see, raised to the power 1 by 2, or I can also write it like this, under root 2, right? So basically I can also write it like this: 2 into 2 into 2, because 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8. Okay, here we basically get 8. So now I can also write it like this, 2 power 2 into 2, right? So now 1 2 is out and another 2 is inside the under root. This is basically what we have gotten. So under root 8 is basically equal to 2 under root 2. So what's our answer? Our answer is option number A, which is 2 under root 2. So basically this is very simple. Okay, no rocket science at all. Okay, now let's go towards finding our next solving our next question. It's basically very easy as well, not rocket science at all basically. For that, I'll just have to remove this basically two terms so that we must have enough space to solve our questions. Now we have our 49th question. If f of x is equal to log base 2 and its function is basically given x square plus 12, what is the reciprocal of f 2? Now basically they are asking us to find the reciprocal of the f function 2. Now see, forget about the reciprocal for now. We have to find f power 2, right? F power 2, not f, and instead of x we have to put 2 in the entire expression, you may say, or equation, you may say. Okay, so f, basically here we have x, right? So here we are going to put 2 and then log base 2. Here again we have x, so instead of this x we are going to put 2 square plus 12. Okay, so f2 is equal to log base 2. 2 power 2 is 4 plus 12. Now I can give it, for instance, we are finding this, right? So I can denote it by letter y, right? You can denote it by any letter. It's all on you. You can either denote it by letter x or y or z. It's all on you. Okay, no restrictions here at all. So log base 2, 4 plus 12 is 16 basically. Now we have basically gotten at this term. Now see, here a very good log property is applied, and what's that property is basically, they say if you have log base a, with that here you have y is equal to b, then how can it be solved? It's basically very simple. The base that you have under your log, that would basically become here base, and its power would be basically this term. Okay, the number that is on the right hand side of the equation. Okay, so a power b and y will be on now the right hand side. So basically it will be broken down like this. Okay, so base, and here we have gotten power, and y has got here. Basically this is the property of log. For instance, you must have heard when see, log function m into n, when two functions inside the log are multiplied, you're gonna add them. So log m plus log n basically, and you have must heard about this as well. Log m by n is equal to log m minus log n. So basically these are some of the properties of the logs. Okay, so this is the one of those properties. I hope this is clear. It's not rocket science. So now we are going to apply this property here. So basically this 2 would be my base, and whatever is alone will gonna be my power now. Okay, and this would be here. Now what power should I give to this y? What number can I suppose that this y must be in order to get 16? Okay, so 2 into 2 is 4, 4 into 2 is 8, 8 into 2 is 16. So basically if I put my power 4, I get 16. So what's my y equals to? My y equal to 4. They have not asked us to find only f function 2. However, they have asked us to find the reciprocal of it. So basically reciprocal is very simple. Reciprocal is just writing that number into the denominator. So how you're gonna take the reciprocal of it? It's very simple. You have to just write it in the denominator. So in the numerator, if you have nothing, you have 1 at least, and then upon 4. So this is basically reciprocal of your f function 2 answer. Let's see if we have gotten this option. Yes, we have, and that's basically option A. Okay, I'm gonna highlight it. Okay, we are done with our second question as well. Let's move towards the third question, which is again very interesting. Okay, 50th question. In a bag, there are basically 3 red balls and 7 green balls, indistinguishable by touch. Okay, 2 extractions are made, with the first ball being returned to the bag before the second extraction. What is the probability of extracting 2 green balls? So basically, this is the question of probability we have. Now see, for finding the probability of anything, you have a formula for finding the probability, okay? So probability is equal to desired event upon total number of event. Okay, it is basically desired event upon total number of event. Now what does mean by this desired event? The thing that you want is basically your desire, right? So desired event upon total, of course you are very familiar with the total term. For instance, if you have a dice basically, okay, in the dice how many total number do we have? That is 6. Okay, you can either get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 as well. So basically total number what you have is 6. Okay, I can ask you what is the probability if I roll a dice and I get 3 from it. So what would be the probability of finding 3 from the dice? So basically, what's the number of the desired event? The desired event is 3. And what's its number in the entire die? Of course, 3 comes only one time in the dice. So basically, we have gotten here 1. So 1 by 6 is the probability of 3. 1 by 6 is the probability of 3 that can come from the dice, right? Likewise, what's the probability of finding 6? So, of course, 6 comes only once in the dice. So, 1 by 6. Total numbers are 6. Desired event you have written. Now, if I ask you, what's the probability of finding even numbers in the dice? So, how many even numbers do we have? Basically, we have 2 is even number, 4 is even number, and 6 is even number. So, we have 3 even numbers. So, our desired number of events are 3, and how many total numbers of events we have is basically 6. After simplifying it, we have gotten 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 is the probability of having even number, and 1 by 2 of course would be probability of finding the odd number. So this simple how it is. Okay, so now basically in a bag there are 3 red balls and 7 green balls. They have asked us that we have a bag. Okay, we are gonna imagine everything. Okay, you don't have to be stressed out by anything. We have a bag and they have asked us there are 3 red balls. Okay, let me see if you have any red color. We have basically we have there 3 red balls. Okay, and we have 7 green balls there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically, how many total balls do we have in this bag right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So total number of events we have finally gotten, and that is 10 now. Okay, because they have asked us to find the probability. So for finding the probability, you must be familiar with the total number of events. And from here we have gotten that 3 plus 7 would be 10. So there would be 10 balls inside the bag. So 10 is the total number, right? Now see, two extractions are made. Basically, a person there is, and he has made a draw. He has basically taken a ball once, okay, and then he has put again that ball inside the bag, and then again extracted a second ball from it. So basically, the first ball that he has extracted from the bag, or the second ball that he's gonna be extracting from the bag, would not be affected by the first extraction at all. Okay, it's basically independent event. Because here they have told us that the second extraction would not be affected by your first extraction, because whatever the ball you are taking first, it would again be put back inside the bag, and then you're gonna make second extraction, which means no affection at all, which means it's an independent event. Okay, so whether your event is independent or dependent, you must be familiar with the concept called multiplication law. We have basically so many laws in the probability. We have addition laws as well, but addition laws and multiplication laws. See, why we gonna use this multiplication or addition law when we have to find the probability of more than one event. Okay, so now you're not finding here probability of one thing, but you're finding here probability of more than one thing. So basically now you have to either use addition law or multiplication law. Now how we're going to identify whether we are going to use addition law or multiplication law? See, here we can't use addition law, because in addition law we talk about mutually exclusive or non-mutually exclusive. Okay, where we have two things common or not. That addition law is basically used in cards. When you have a deck of cards, basically that there, of course, if you have to find the probability of more than an event, you will be of course using addition law there. But here you will be using multiplication law. Multiplication law, when we talk about multiplication law, we always talk about independent event or dependent event. The formula for finding the probability of independent event is probability of A. Okay, probability of A event multiply the probability of B event. This is the formula for finding the probability of the independent events when two events are not affected by each other. They aren't affected by each other because you are putting back the ball that you have already picked up. Okay, so your second event is not affected by the first one, or your first event is not affected by the second one, of course. So it's independent, and for finding the probability of the independent events, you have a formula, probability of A into probability of B. Now see, what's the probability of finding A basically? Okay, you need to find the probability of extracting two green balls. Two green balls, okay? Now basically, I have to find green ball. How many green balls do I have? It's basically 7. So number of green balls we have is 7, means desired event number is 7. And how many total numbers of balls do we have in the bag is 10. Okay. So for instance, if you have taken out one ball from a bag that is green ball, okay, then again you have put that green ball inside the bag back, okay, again you have to find the probability of B. Then now you will not have 6 green balls because you have already taken one green ball out, but you have put that green ball already taken back in the bag as well. So now you have again 7 green balls left. So desired number event is 7 and total number of events is 10. Okay, 7. And now multiplication of the fractions is very simple. Numerator multiply by numerator, denominator multiply by denominator. So 7 into 7 is 49. 10 into 10 is 100. So basically for finding the probability of two green balls is 49 by 100. And we have gotten our answer, that is option number A. So this is very simple, no rocket science at all. Basically, these questions are very simple. Now we have finally came to our 51st question, which basically asks us Which of the following is the solution of the inequality? Basically, they have given us inequality, and I have already told you about an inequality as well. What's an inequality? It's basically an expression with greater than sign, less than sign, greater than and equal to sign, or less than or equal to sign. So basically, this is what an inequality is. So we have to find the solution of the inequalities, and I have already told you that if we have to find the solution of the system, solution of the equation, so basically you're finding the value of the unknown variable. So they have asked us to find the solution of the inequality, means unknown variable value in the inequality. And unknown variable is what in this entire inequality? That's x. So we have to find the value of the x here. Now see that entire inequality is basically greater than or equal to 0. For now, leave the first part, because if we see the first part, we are basically very confused and perplexed that how are you gonna solve that now. Basically, this is very difficult, but no, it's not difficult. Let me tell you. If you forget about the first part for now, basically you're left with what? You're left with the denominator part, right? And basically denominator we have 4 minus 3x. I know that this entire term must be not equal to 0, because if in the denominator comes 0, this entire thing would be equal to infinity. Okay, and this we don't have to make at all, because you must have heard something that anything divided by nothing, you get everything. Okay, so if 0 comes in the denominator, your answer would be infinity. So you don't have to make this denominator term equal to 0. So 4 minus 3x would never be equal to 0, which means is not equal to 0 at all. Okay, now see, basically if this my part comes out to be negative, it must not be equal to negative integers as well. Why though? Why not equal to negative integers? Because if here comes negative integer, for instance, if I put here 3, so 4 minus 3 into 3 is 9, 4 minus 9 is minus 5. Now we have basically here minus 5, which is a negative integer. So whatever divides by minus 5 would be, of course, in the negative value as well. So for instance, the first, the numerator answer comes out to be 3, and in the denominator you have already gotten minus 5. So your answer would be, of course, in the negative part, right? So negative something, and you have an inequality greater than and equal to 0. This is wrong. How can negative number be greater than 0? How can negative number be greater than 0? So which means we have to take care of this as well, right? So basically your this new denominator would not be equal to negative integers as well. So then what we are left with, 4 minus 3x would either be greater than or equal greater than 0 only. It would never be equal to 0. Okay, so I'm not putting here equal to, because if it is equal to 0, the answer of this entire inequality would be infinity, which we don't have to make it. It would be not negative integer as well, which means of course greater than 0. Now see, we have to just solve this inequality. So for negative 3x, when it goes on the right hand side of the inequality, it is of positive. We have to find the value of x. 4 by 3x, it's basically here greater than sign. If I shift x towards it, so it's basically less than sign now. 4 by 3, so x is less than 4 by 3. Let's see if we get this answer, each real x with x is less than 4 by 3, which is the right answer we have gotten, right? Okay, I hope this was very simple, no difficulty at all in it. Let's move towards 52nd question. Again, the questions today are not as difficult as they were in the 2025 paper, I believe. Okay, let's start solving this now. 52nd question. Let theta be the acute angle formed between a tangent at a point A to a circle. They have asked us basically that we have a circle, okay, and tangent is what? Basically, let me tell you some basics of circle. This is my circle, okay, and the line passes through any point of it. Through any point of it would be basically tangent line, okay. So it is tangent line, okay. It would, this tangent line would only touch the circle at a point. It will only touch a circle at only a single point, okay. For instance, here you have seen. Now see, we have basically here, it's chord, it's called chord of a circle, okay. And basically we have this line as well. It's not a chord, it's not a tangent as well, because tangent only touches the circle at one single point. This chord is touching the circle at 2 points. So basically this is now second line, okay. From the center to the circumference, to the any point of the circle, we have a distance called radius, okay. So this is basically radius as well, and this, then we have arc length. These are some basics of circle, okay, no difficulty at all. Now let's try to make our scenario what they have basically asked us to find for. They have asked that we have a circle. We have a circle. Let me make it a bit big. Okay. Let theta be an acute angle formed between the tangent at point A to a circle. So basically we have to make a tangent right now. Okay. Here I have got my tangent, and it is basically making an acute angle. A tangent at a point A. So basically we are calling this tangent point as A. Okay. And one of its chord. So basically I'm making chord here. So this is my chord AB, right? So I can now write here basically B, my AB point. AB is my chord, and A is the point where my tangent touches the circle. It makes an acute angle, okay, which they have basically represented with theta. So basically here some angle would be made, and this angle is theta they have called, okay. For now we have just gotten this info. Considering any point D on the larger of the arcs, okay, larger arc is basically this, right? So we have considered one D point on it, arcs AB, denoted by phi as the angle ADB. So basically ADB, ADB, or I can make it with any other color, A, and this we have point D and B. ADB, they have told us that angle is phi we have. Phi we have. Now this question is very simple again. We have gotten one theorem. Basically we have a lot of circles theorem. I can tell you some of those circle theorems so that I can explain you that we have circle theorems, okay. Basically if we have this circle, okay, and we have this tangent line, so basically this is what we call the radius of the circle, right? So radius line with tangent would always make an angle of 90 degree. Radius line would be perpendicular to the tangent line, and of course when it is perpendicular it would make an angle of 90 degree. So this is the first theorem. We have basically a lot of theorems. I'm just telling you few of it, okay, so that you can get familiar with it. So basically if we have this chord and the triangles above this chord basically will have same angles, whatever angle we have here would be same here as well. So if this angle is A, this angle would be A as well. Okay, with that, if we have this circle and we have two chords here right now, I'm made two triangles as well. So whatever angle you have here is would be here same as well. Okay, so basically these are triangle theorems, or you can make it like this. Wait. Or you can make it like this. Wait. So basically these would be same. Okay, I have just told you the basic concept. With that, if we have a tangent line here and a triangle is made here, so whatever angle we have here, for instance A, would be same here as well, A, and whatever angle we have here, for instance Z, would be here Z as well. So basically this angle would be equal to this angle. This is the theorem. I'm not making this, or I'm not just supposing it, but this is the law, this is the theorem, okay, which you have to know. So basically we have already known now whatever angle here is would be equal to this angle. Whatever angle here was is equal to this angle. So whatever angle here is would be equal to this angle, which means my theta would be equal to my phi. Okay, both angle would be equal. Now let's see what answers do we have. So they are asking us to find the relationship exists between the angle phi and theta. We have seen the relationship, they both are equal, which is our answer A. Okay. And now let's move towards question number 53. Given a cylinder, so basically I can make here cylinder. Okay. With the base radius, so base radius they have given 5 centimeter. Okay, and the height of 7 centimeter. Height they have given 7 centimeter. What's the volume of the cylinder? So basically if you have to find the volume of the cylinder, you have to know its formula, right? So for finding the volume of the cylinder, you have a formula, pi r square h. Pi r square h is the formula for finding the volume of the cylinder. So pi, instead of r, you can put its value now, 5 square. H we have is 7. So pi, 5 into 5 is 25 into 7. So pi, 7 into 5 is 35 basically. 7 twos are 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. So 175 pi, and these both are in centimeters, centimeter, not square, because this is volume, so cube. 175 pi centimeter cube is our answer, which is option number A. This was very simple, right? Pi r square h is the formula for finding the volume of the cylinder. Now we have our very last questions for today. Let's solve that now. Let's change the color a bit. Okay, in a right triangle, we have basically a right triangle. Okay, this is what we call a right triangle. Let A, B represent the legs. So basically this is A, this is B, they both are legs of the triangle, right? And C be the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is basically the opposite of 90-degree side. So opposite to it is what we got C, which is hypotenuse. If A is the angle opposite A, so basically opposite to A is this angle, right? This is the alpha angle we have. Okay, which of the following relation is true? We have to find the relation. Okay, so you must have come across the statement, some people have curly brown hair through proper brush. I know when you were in 7, when you were in 8, 9th, 10th, because until 10th you have studied maths, right? So you must have come across this statement. Some people have curly brown hair through proper brush. Some people have means sine theta is equal to perpendicular people have upon hypotenuse. This is the formula we have gotten. Okay, so sine instead of theta angle, we have gotten our alpha angle, so I can substitute the value now. Perpendicular I have as A. Okay, hypotenuse I have as C. So upon C, I have to find which of the following is true for basically. So C is dividing here with A. When it goes to the left hand side, it basically multiplies with sine alpha. Sine alpha, or I can write C here or here. It's basically same, is equal to A. Now let's see what's our answer. In the first option, we have gotten basically A is equal to C sine alpha, which is the right answer. We have gotten. So this was very simple. So we are done with maths MCQs from IMAT past papers 2024, and now we'll be solving physics MCQs. Now we are starting our physics MCQs from IMAT past papers year 2024. We are starting off with our very first question, 55th. A boat is moving in a uniform straight motion at a certain speed v. If a braking force of 210 Newton is applied for a distance of 5 meters, how much power is developed by the braking force? So basically they have given us data and they have asked us to find something. So the best strategy to solve the numericals in physics is to identify the data and write that data simply down. Whatever you understand from the question, write it down. So what I have gotten from this question is a bot is moving in a uniform straight motion at a certain speed v. So basically they've given a speed that is v, right? I'm writing here the data so that I cannot be confused with it then. If a braking force of 210 Newton is applied for a distance of 5 meters, so what else I have gotten here? Force. How much force did I get? 210 Newton. And then I have gotten distance as well. Distance of 5 meters I have gotten. Okay. How much power is developed by the braking force? So basically they are asking us to find the power. So what's our required term here? Required is basically your power. You have to find your power. What your power would be if this data, speed is given, force is given, and distance is given. So basically for finding the power, you have a formula. Let me write here the formula for power. Formula for finding the power is work per unit time. Or you have must heard about the definition of power. Power is nothing but it is rate of change of work. Rate of change of work. Whenever you listen to this term, the rate of, so it basically means time is in the denominator. Your factor is divided by time, which means your time is in the denominator. So I have told you the rate of change of work, okay, so which means time is in the denominator and it is rate of work, so work is in the numerator. So basically we have gotten our formula for finding the power, which is work per unit time. Power is basically rate of change of work, right? So if I break this formula down now, because I have not gotten work in my data, I have not gotten time in my data as well, then how I'll gonna substitute the values in it? So basically for substituting these values, I have to basically break this formula down. So basically I have to break this formula down, okay, which is not again as difficult, but I'll try my best to explain you guys. Okay, see, formula for finding the work is basically force into displacement. You have heard the definition of work, right? Work is nothing but it is the dot product of force and displacement. Here I'm not writing dot, I'm just telling you that it is the product of force and displacement. So work is nothing but it is force into displacement. Okay, and now for finding the time, we don't have any formula, right? We don't have any independent formula for finding the time, but we can derive the formula for time by any of the formulas, right? Here they have mentioned about speed. So what's the formula for finding the speed? It's basically distance per unit time, right? Now I can basically derive the formula for my time from here as well. Okay, so time is dividing. When it will go to the left hand side, we multiplied with speed, right? Is equal to distance. I have to find time, so I have to make time alone, right? So time is equal to speed is multiplying with time here. When it will go to the right hand side, it will be divided. So for finding the finding the time, we have gotten now the formula of d, distance per unit speed, right? So I'm writing here distance per unit speed instead of writing time. Now if you see, you have gotten all your components that are given in your data, right? You have your distance, you have your speed, you have your force given in the data as well. Now you can basically substitute the values in order to find your power. So the force is already given to us. It's basically 210, and then it is multiplied with distance. Distance is 5 per unit distance over second. So basically I can write it like this as well, divided by distance over second. Okay, and when I have to change this divide sign into multiplication, basically I have to take the reciprocal of it. Then if I have to change this division sign into multiplication, I have to take the reciprocal of it. So reciprocal of it would be s upon d, right? S upon d now. So now substitute the values again. So 210 into 5 is equal to speed. Basically they have not given us, so we are writing instead of speed as v, and distance again they have given us 5. Now see, this 5 cancelled with this 5, and in the end we are left with the power 210 v, and the unit of power is watt. Know this thing, the unit of power is watt, which is denoted by W, capital W. Okay, so 210 V W. This we have gotten our answer. So basically if you see in the options, you have to find 210 V watt. So 210 watt is given in option A, in option B 105 watt, option C 1050 watt, option D 84, and in option E we have 420 volts. So basically these four options are not our answer. Answer must be 210. So 210 we have gotten in our option number 1. So we have gotten our this question correct. Now let's read the 56th question and try to solve it. So 56 questions ask us about an ideal gas is in a container placed on a thermostat at temperature T and occupies volume at a pressure P. Basically now they have mentioned about an ideal gas. So if they have mentioned about ideal gas, you must be familiar with the ideal gas laws. You have Boyle's law, you have Charles' law, you have Avogadro's law, okay, and you have ideal gas equation as well. Okay, so basically you must be familiar with these terms when you read this term ideal gas. Okay, so if the volume occupied by gas is tripled while keeping the temperature constant, temperature is kept constant, they are asking us the effect of tripling the volume on the pressure, and they have kept the temperature constant. Temperature is not changing. So what law we have studied about it when temperature is kept constant? You must have heard about Boyle's law. Okay, Boyle's law is nothing but it is used when temperature is kept constant. Okay, temperature here is constant. Temperature here is constant. So basically, Boyle's law tells us the volume is inversely proportional to the pressure. The volume is inversely proportional to the pressure at constant temperature. This is the definition of Boyle's law. Volume is inversely proportional to the pressure at constant temperature. So basically, they are telling that they have tripled the volume. Volume they have tripled. Means they have increased volume by 3 times. So it is inversely proportional to the pressure. So the pressure would be decreased by 3 times, right? They have increased volume by 3 times. And since volume is inversely proportional to the pressure, according to Boyle's law at constant temperature, so pressure would be decreased by 3 times. So if I see my options, so basically my first option is the right answer. It becomes P by 3. Pressure is decreased by 3 times. So P by 3 is the right answer, right? Okay. Does not change. No, it cannot be our answer. Becomes 3P. No. Volume is not directly proportional to pressure. Volume is not directly proportional to pressure. If it would have been directly proportional to pressure, then tripling the volume would have tripled the pressure as well. But since in the Boyle's law, pressure is inversely proportional to volume, so if volume is tripled, pressure is decreased by 3 times. Decreased by 2 times, no. Changes depending on temperature, no. Temperature is constant. How can it change depending on temperature? So basically, we have solved our 56th question as well, which was simple, not difficult, right? Now we are moving towards our third question, which is 57th. And this is basically a very interesting question, I must say. In a conductor, when a current of 10 ampere flows, 2922 watts are dissipated. What is the resistance value of the conductor? So basically, they have given us some data, and I've already told you the best way to solve any numerical in physics is to write the data. Okay, so basically, when a current of 10 ampere, so basically current, and current is represented by I. Okay, current they have already given us, which is 10 ampere, and they have given us watt, I mean 2922 watt, which means power, right? Because the unit of power is watt. So this is basically power. Power is of 2922 watt. Okay, are dissipated. Okay, for now I understood this. What is the resistance value of the conductor? They are asking us to find the resistance. Okay, so required term is resistance. Now basically for finding the power in the current electricity, you have a formula that is not work per unit time now, but that is now very simple formula, IV, or you may write VI. IV or VI, the thing is simple. It's a product of current and velocity. So power is nothing but it is product of current and velocity. For finding the power in mechanics, when speed, something, whatever is given, distance is given, you have to use the formula of work per unit time. And in the current electricity, when current is given, resistance, they have mentioned about these terminologies related to current electricity, then you have to use this formula, power is equal to IV or VI. Okay, now you must have heard about Ohm's law. Ohm's law was nothing, but it is very simple again. Ohm's law is very interesting. What's Ohm's law basically? Ohm's law tells us that the velocity is directly proportional to current. Okay. Not velocity but voltage. I'm sorry for now. So voltage is directly proportional to current. This is what we call an Ohm's law, right? Ohm's law is that thing, but it tells us the voltage is directly proportional to the current. And when I remove this proportionality sign, you know that we have to introduce a constant. So is equal to, and here comes the constant of R. And here R is what we call resistance, right? This is basically Ohm's law. V is equal to IR or V is equal to RI. Everything is same. You know, this is the product, right? So see now, basically the power formula we have gotten IV. Basically in the data they have given us I, but they have not given us V. And they have not mentioned about R as well. So how are you going to find that? We have to use this formula as well now. See, V is equal to Ri, right? V is equal to Ri. Now I can substitute this V is equal to Ri into my this formula, right? So P is equal to I. Instead of V, I can now substitute this Ri. So P is equal to, I'm sorry, P is equal to I into I is I square R. So now we have gotten our second formula for power, which is basically P is equal to I square R. This we have made, right? I have made this, I have simplified it, I have driven this formula in front of you. So the first formula we had of power was IV, and now the second formula we derived is I square R. Basically, we have a third formula for finding the power as well. Let me tell you how. Okay. So basically, I have main formula this, right? Power is equal to current into voltage. Now see, if I have to find here the value of I. So I is equal to resistance is multiplying with I here. When it go there, it will be divided. So V by R. Now I can substitute this I value in this formula, right? So power is equal to, instead of I can write now V upon R. And with that we had V. So V. So we have gotten V square upon R. This is basically third formula for finding the power. Now see what power formula we'll be using here. I have made you learn these three formulas of power. Basically the main formula that we had was IV. Okay. And with the use of Ohm's law, we basically made two more formulas for finding the power as well. Okay. Now let's see what formula of power can I use in my this question in order to find the resistance. See, they have given us current. Basically, what factors are used? Current, power, resistance. I have to use the formula of power that has current and resistance, right? If I see my first formula, I don't have resistance here, right? So resistance is not here. Current is here, power is here, but not resistance. So see, I can't use my this first formula. If I see my second formula, yes, power is mentioned, R is given, and I is given as well. So which means I can use my this second formula. Okay, I can use my this second formula now. And in the third, if I see V square upon R. So yes, no, basically R they have asked us, power they have given, but voltage they have not given. So basically the only formula that we are left with to use is formula 2, which is I square R. Basically here 3 components are used that are basically given in our data: current, power, resistance, current, power, resistance. Okay, now just substitute the values. Instead of power value we have already have 2922. Instead of current, 10 is given, so I square, which means 10 square into R. So 2922 is equal to 10 into 10 is 100 into R. We are supposed to find what? We are supposed to find R only. So 100 is multiplying with this R. When it will go there, it will be divided. So 2922 divided by 100 divided by 100. So basically I can write it like this as well. 2922 upon 10 power 2. When I take this term on the upper side, the power will be negative then, right? We already know this now. So 10 power minus 2. Okay. So now minus 2 power means you have to move your point to the left hand side. And how much you will move? You'll move it 2 times. So 1, 2. Your point basically comes here now. So 29.22 is your answer. Resistance is basically measured in ohms. So the unit of resistance is ohms. So basically 29.22 ohms. 29.22 ohms. Let's see if we have this in our options. And yes, option A is the right answer. 29.22 ohms. Okay. Now let's solve our fourth question basically, which is 58th one. An electron in motion with a constant velocity enters a uniform magnetic field B perpendicularly. Given something's mass, charge, magnitude of electron's velocity respectively, which of the following statement is false? They are asking us which statement can be false. Okay, so basically this is again very interesting question. So basically this is my magnetic field will be produced by what? Will be of course produced by magnet, right? So this is my magnet north pole, this is my south pole of my magnet. So it will of course exert some force on the regions around it, right? And this is what we call magnetic field, which basically the magnetic field lines are drawn from north to south. So north to south, okay? Their direction is this. Their direction of motion is this. Basically, in the question they have told us an electron is entered in the magnetic field perpendicularly. Okay, an electron is entered in the magnetic field perpendicularly. So which means this is my electron. It has entered the magnetic field perpendicularly. Now how is it perpendicular? Perpendicular means 90 degree. The angle between two components must be 90 degree. So my motion of magnetic field is this, okay, and electron is entering perpendicular to it, which means like this, right? So we have made it correctly. Now they are saying we have to find whether are any statements given would be false and which of the following statements would be false. That is basically the question. Now see what happens. See, if I'm riding a bike, I'm this, okay? I'm riding a bike in a very straight motion, okay? I'm riding a bike in a very straight motion with certain speed, right? At certain speed. For instance, someone comes here and pushes me. Someone comes here and pushes me, okay? My speed of the bike would not be changed. However, my direction would be changed. Since initially I was moving in a straight line, but now instead of moving in a straight line, I'll start moving in a curved path, right? Because something has pushed me on the side way. Something has pushed me on the side way. So basically, I'll turn it, right? So my direction of motion will be changed. However, speed would remain same. Speed would be same and direction would be changed. So basically I've made this scenario in order to explain you this. So electron, so basically I have supposed that this electron is the bike I'm sitting on, okay? And that bike is coming straight, right? And magnetic fields are basically from north to south, means sideways. So my electron is here, it's moving in the straight direction, and magnetic field is pushing, okay, electron. So basically what it will do, it will curve and it will change its direction. So speed again of an electron would be constant, but direction would be same. Direction would be changed, or direction would be changed. Speed is constant, however direction changed. Now let's see what tells us in the options. The electron continues to move with a constant velocity. See, our speed would be same. An electron continues to move with a constant speed. If speed would have been written instead of velocity, our A option would have been correct, right? They have asked us to find false statement. See, what's the difference between speed and velocity? You might have uh, imagined that yes, A is correct answer. A is the correct statement, but A is not correct statement, because you are maybe imagining that velocity and speed are same, but in actual they aren't same at all. So basically here we have speed and here I have velocity. Speed is just how fast you move, okay? It's just how fast you move, which is basically constant in our case. If I talk about velocity, velocity is basically speed plus direction as well, because velocity is the vector quantity, right? And vector quantities have directions. So speed plus direction is what we call velocity. So speed again is constant, but I have just told you guys that direction would be changed. So overall, what would be effect on the velocity? Again, it would be changed because of the direction changed, right? So velocity would be changed. It would not remain constant. And in the first option, they have mentioned constant velocity. But we have just seen that the velocity will be changed because of the direction changed. So our A option is the false statement, which means the right answer. Which of the following statement is false? They asked us to find the false statement. So A is the false statement because it would have constant speed but not constant velocity because of the change in its direction of the electron. Okay, I hope it was very simple, not difficult. I tried my best in order to explain you guys, in order to make this understand with a real life example as well. Now we are moving towards our second last question, which is a point particle moves along a given x-axis with the law of motion, and it is given to us. An equation is given to us where x is in meters, which means x is basically distance, position, whatever you call it. T is in seconds, which means it is time. Omega is basically 2 pi radian per second, and radian per second is the unit for angular frequency. So basically omega is angular frequency 2 pi. The velocity of the point particle at the instant time they have given us 1 by 2. At 1 by 2 second, they have asked us to find velocity. Now see, this is again very interesting question. I have to just, okay, I can solve it here. Else I have to just copy this entire question down. So it would be very hustle puzzle. Okay, let's start solving it now. This question is again simple, not difficult. Telling you this. Okay. So basically x t is equal to 4 cos omega t. This is basically x value, and here they have said x is in meters, which means it is position or distance, right? It's position or distance. It's position or distance. Okay, it's position or distance. What is velocity then? They have asked us to find velocity. Velocity is the rate of change of position or rate of change of displacement, which means change in it, right? Change in it. And change is written by d by dt. Change is basically derivative. Derivative is what? Derivative is just change, right? So change in this position with respect to time, the rate of change, or I can say with respect to time or the rate of change, because in the denominator then I know if the rate is mentioned in the denominator I have time. So the rate of change of position or the rate of change of distance is what we call our velocity, right? So this is how we can find velocity. Now basically you must be here familiar with some derivatives formulas. So I'm going to give you some basics of derivatives, even though derivatives is from mathematics, but I'll try my best to explain you this question in very simple way. Okay, so derivative is written by this thing. Okay, derivative is written by dy dx, or this here can be any variable, right? Here can be d by dt as well, d by dy as well. This is what we call derivative or change. Okay, so the synonym for derivative is change. Basically know some basic concepts. If you are taking derivative change of x, okay, with respect to x, because x is written in the denominator, right? So if you are taking change in x with respect to x, if these both variables are same, your answer would of course be 1. Your answer would of course be 1. Okay, if you are finding derivative of any constant term, for example 5, your derivative will always be 0. Your derivative will always be 0. This basically means change in 5 with respect to x would be 0. Okay, let's know some more basic terms. If you have to find now the derivative of, for instance, 5x square, or basically I can tell you initially for the power 1, x square. Now what would be its answer? Basically whatever the power is, you have to make it now coefficient. So 2 has become now coefficient, and then you have to find the derivative of this term. Okay, so basically x, the coefficient you have made it, right? The power has become now coefficient, and then you have to make it base power minus 1, base power minus 1. And you'll not stop here, but you'll then take the derivative of only base term, which is x. Now see, 2x, 2 minus 1 is basically 1, so no need to write 1, and derivative of x with respect to x, both are same, 1, so multiplied with 1, 2x. So basically I hope these simple terms are clear to you. If you have to take the derivative of 2x power 4 basically, then what would have been an answer? See, if you have coefficient term, that coefficient term will come out now, So now 2 has come out. You have to take derivative of x power 4. Okay, so 2 is already out. If you have to take the derivative of something that has power, so that power will become coefficient now, base power minus 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3, and you'll not stop here, but you will take the derivative of the base term. So d by dx with respect to x is 1. Okay, so 2 into 4 is 8x cube. So basically my reason of giving you guys this concept is very simple, because there we are going to find the derivative, the change in velocity. So you must be familiar with these basic concepts. And now for instance, you are finding the derivative of sine function 2x. Okay, so the derivative of sine function is cos. You must be known the derivative of sine is cos. Cos, its function would remain same, but you will not stop here. You will take the derivative of function as well, which is 2x. So cos 2x, derivative of 2x, coefficient will come out, and then you will take the derivative of this. So d by dx of x is 1. So now it has become 2 cos 2x. Okay. Now basically if you have to find the derivative of cos, derivative of sine is cos, right? And derivative of cos is basically minus sine. Derivative of sine is cos, derivative of cos is minus sine. So minus sine function would remain same, 4x square. You will not stop here, but you will take the derivative of 4x square. Okay, so minus sine 4x square, this coefficient will go out, and then you'll take derivative of x square. So minus, you can write this 4 here now, minus 4 sine 4x square, derivative of x square, power will become coefficient now. So 2 base power minus 1, 2 minus 1 is 1, then base derivative would be again 1, because with respect to x. So now you have 2x, right? So minus 4 2s are 8x sine 4x square. So know these concepts. The derivative of sine is cos, and the derivative of cos is not sine, however minus sine. Okay, so now we are going to solve our that basically question where we left, because I wanted to give you some basic concepts of it. Okay, now let's start solving it. I have to take the derivative of it. So basically this is coefficient now. So I know that coefficient will come out, and then you have to take derivative of the rest of the term, cos omega t. Okay, now see, 4, if you take the derivative of cos, it's basically what? It's minus sine. So minus sine, function of the sine would be omega t, same. You'll not stop here, but you'll take the derivative of this function as well, omega t. Okay, so omega is basically a coefficient term. It will again come out as a coefficient. So 4 omega minus you already have, so minus sine function omega t. What's left? T is left. Derivative of t with respect to t is 1, because both variables are same. I told you there as well, derivative of x with respect to x, both variables are same, 1. So derivative of t with respect to t, both variables are same, it's 1. So basically what we have gotten, minus 4 omega sine function omega t. Now you have to do nothing, but you have to just substitute your values, because now this is the formula for velocity, right? Derivative, change in position or change in speed is what we call velocity. Now you have to just substitute your values. Okay, omega, they have already given us 2 pi, so velocity minus 4, instead of omega, 2 pi sine function omega 2 pi, time they have given 1/2. Okay, now simplify it. 2 cancelled with this 2, minus 4 2s are minus 8 pi sine function we have now, pi into 1 is pi. So this pi you already know is basically 180 degree. Okay, sine, instead of pi write 180 degree, and sine at 180 degree is 0. Sine at 180 degree is basically 0. So entire thing multiplied with 0 is 0. So we have gotten our velocity at time 1/2 and omega 2 pi. We have gotten our answer 0 meter per second. I hope this is clear. This is the reason I gave you the concept of derivative. It's the entire chapter in mathematics. But if you are not a math student, of course, you must be familiar with some basic rules, some basic methods of finding the derivative in order to solve these type of questions, because derivative is a lot used in physics. Okay, it's not only mathematics topic, but it is used in physics as well, because derivative means change, and change in something you've already studied. For instance, change in speed, change in velocity is acceleration, change in displacement is velocity, change in distance is speed. So basically you are familiar with this, that you have to find change, and change is basically derivative. So you must be familiar with the some basics that I've told you right now. Okay, you should not be known more than it for derivatives, because derivatives is entirely in mathematics. Okay, there would be, of course, some few more basics in derivatives as well. For now, I just tried my best to give you those concepts which are used in this question. Okay, now we are going to solve our very last question of physics. A pendulum rod moves from the vertical position. Which of the following statement is false? They are asking us to find the false statement. So basically, here I am making my pendulum. Basically, this ball is what we call a bob in the pendulum. Okay, and this is sting. The bob is attached to a sting. If I pull this bob, okay, it will start because of the gravity. Okay, gravity is downwards, right? So because of the gravity, it will start moving in the back and forth position. It will now go here, then here, then again it will come back here, then there. So it will basically start moving in the forth and back direction, which means oscillation. Back and forth direction means motion is oscillation. Okay, so basically what factors would definitely affect this oscillation or this back and forth motion would be friction. Factors affecting this motion would be friction and air resistance. See, if I, remove the friction and air resistance, this bob will not stop its motion. However, it will keep its motion in the continuous form in the back and forth. Okay, oscillation will not stop if I remove friction and air resistance. Okay, but if friction and air resistance are not removed, they will of course affect this motion, and eventually the bob will stop moving. Okay, so this is what we understand from it for now. Okay, if we read A option, basically we have to find our false statement. In the absence of friction, okay, if the friction is absent, so basically the bob will continue its motion, right? The pendulum tends to come to stop after a certain time. No, it will not stop. It will continue its motion if friction is not there, if air resistance is not there, which means our A option is a wrong statement, and they asked us to find wrong statement, which is A option. If I if I read the second option, in the absence of friction, okay, friction is absent again, the motion is simple harmonic oscillation. See, if the friction is absent or air resistance is absent, of course this bob will continue moving in a back and forth motion, which means simple harmonic motion. Yes, this is correct. They are not asking us to find the correct statement. So this B option is correct, but they are not asking us to find correct statement. They asked us to find false statement, okay? C option, in the presence of friction, if friction is present, oscillatory motion is damped. Damped means vanished, stopped. Oscillation will not, will of course stop if there is presence of air resistance or friction. So presence of friction will eventually stop the motion of back and forth of the bob, which means will damped, which means this statement is also true statement, but we were supposed to find false statement. D, the pendulum stops after reaching a certain height and then swings back. Of course, if I have pulled my this bob here, it will reach its certain height and then it will again swings back. So this is the true statement. E, last but not the least, the pendulum describes a circular arc during the motion. Of course, this motion is in the circular path, circular arc. So this is the right uh, statement as well. The only false statement which was given was A, in the absence of friction. If friction is absent, the motion would not be stopped, however it will be continued. So I hope these physics MCQs are very much clear to you. I tried my best to explain you every question in very detail, but if you have any question, you may leave the comment, and of course I'll try my best to cover that query.